Millionaire CEO didn't know he had a son until he saw his black X on a cruise ship with a boy. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. Gabriel Rios stood by the railing of the big fancy ship called the Majestic Sea. This ship would be his home for 7 days. Gabriel was 42 years old, and this was his first vacation in 5 years. His assistant, Sophia, had kept telling him to take a break, and he finally agreed. The wind blew through his sandy blonde hair, which had a little gray in it now. His green eyes looked at the busy pool area below. Families and friends were laughing and having fun. "Mr. Rios, your champagne," a worker on the ship said, holding a silver tray. "Thank you," Gabriel said, taking the glass. He wondered why he had let Sophia talk him into this trip. He was the boss of a big company and always worked. He didn't know how to relax like the people around him. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was Sophia. The message said, "Remember our deal. No work calls for 3 days. The company won't fall apart. Try to have fun." Gabriel smiled and put his phone away. Sophia had worked for him for 10 years. She knew him very well. She made him come on this trip because she thought he needed a break. He took a sip of his drink and decided to walk around the ship. The Majestic Sea was one of the fanciest ships in the world. It had restaurants, pools, theaters, and many fun things to do. Maybe he could find something to keep himself busy. As Gabriel walked along the upper deck, he suddenly stopped. He saw a woman near the pool. She had her back to him, but her dark, wavy hair looked very familiar. When she turned slightly to get something from her bag, his heart almost stopped. Lucia? It couldn't be her. After all these years, it just couldn't be. But then she stood up and turned around, and it was her. Lucia Brooks, the woman he had loved more than anything. The woman who had left his life 7 years ago without saying a word. She looked just as beautiful as before. Her skin glowed in the sunlight, and her dark eyes sparkled as she laughed. Gabriel felt like he had traveled back in time to their last happy night together. But then he noticed something else. A little boy stood beside Lucia. The boy had blonde hair, green eyes, and a smile that looked just like Gabriel's. Gabriel felt like he had been hit by lightning. The boy looked exactly like Gabriel had in his childhood pictures. "It can't be," Gabriel whispered. His mind raced. The boy seemed to be about 5 or 6 years old. Lucia had left 7 years ago. The timing made sense. Could this boy be his son? A son he never knew about? Before Gabriel could think more, the boy looked up and saw him. Their eyes met, and the boy's face changed, like he recognized Gabriel. The boy tugged on Lucia's sleeve and pointed right at Gabriel. Even from far away, Gabriel could see the boy's lips move as he spoke. "Mommy, is that my daddy?" Lucia's body went stiff. Her face turned pale. She grabbed the boy's hand and quickly picked up their things. Gabriel shook off his shock and started walking toward them, pushing past other people on the deck. He couldn't let her leave again. Not now. Not with all the questions in his mind. "Lucia!" Gabriel called. His voice was strong enough to be heard over the crowd. Lucia froze. Slowly she turned around, still holding the boy's hand tightly. Her lips moved, barely making a sound. "Gabriel." They stood just a few feet apart, but between them there were 7 years of silence and secrets. The little boy looked up at Gabriel with wide eyes, eyes that looked exactly like his. "Lucia," Gabriel said again, his voice quiet but firm. "What is going on?" Lucia swallowed hard and looked around nervously. "Not here," she said. "Mateo has a kids' club meeting in 15 minutes. We can talk after I drop him off." Mateo. His son's name was Mateo. "I'll wait," Gabriel said, his eyes locked on hers. Lucia nodded, then knelt down to Mateo's level. "Mateo, sweetie, this is an old friend of Mommy's. His name is Gabriel." Mateo smiled and reached out his small hand. "Hi, Gabriel, I'm Mateo, and I'm 5.5. Gabriel's hand trembled as he shook his son's small hand. "It's very nice to meet you, Mateo. Are you coming to the kids' club too?" Mateo asked excitedly. "No, honey," Lucia said gently. "Gabriel and I need to talk about grown-up things. Remember the pirate treasure hunt today? Mateo's face lit up. He was quickly distracted by the idea of hunting for treasure. We'll meet in the Star Lounge in 20 minutes, Lucia said to Gabriel. Her voice was calm, but her eyes looked scared. Gabriel nodded as she walked away with Mateo. His mind was spinning with questions. He went to the Star Lounge, ordered a drink, and tried to prepare for the conversation that would change his life forever. Lucia's hands shook as she signed Mateo into the kids' club. She had always known this day might come, but she never thought it would happen like this, on a cruise ship, with no place to run. Are you okay, ma'am? The woman at the sign-in desk asked. Yes, I'm fine, Lucia answered quickly. Just a little seasick. After making sure Mateo was happy with his treasure hunt, she took a deep breath and walked to the Star Lounge. When she entered, she saw Gabriel right away. He still had the same strong presence. He sat in a booth, staring into his drink. Lucia walked over and Gabriel looked up. For a moment, neither of them spoke. You look good, Gabriel said at last, his voice tight. So do you, Lucia replied as she sat across from him. Gabriel didn't waste time. Is he mine? Lucia met his eyes. Yes, Mateo is your son. Gabriel's face went pale. He gripped his glass tightly. Why? He asked. Why did you leave? Why didn't you tell me? Lucia took a deep breath. It's complicated. Complicated? Gabriel's voice rose. You disappeared without a word, and now I find out I have a son I never knew about? Lucia sighed. Do you remember how things were when I left? We were happy, Gabriel said firmly. At least, I thought we were. You were building your company, Lucia said. You worked long hours. You canceled our dates like you were so busy. So you left because I worked too much? Gabriel asked. No. The night before I left, I tried to tell you I was pregnant, but you were too tired and told me to wait. The next day I went to your office to tell you, but I heard you talking to your brother. You said I was a distraction, that settling down would have to wait. Gabriel looked shocked. Lucia, that's not what I meant. I didn't want to force you to choose between your dream and our baby. Lucia said softly, I was scared. Gabriel looked at her with sadness. I want to know Mateo, he said. I don't want to miss any more time. Lucia nodded. That's why I was going to contact you. Mateo needs his dad. And us, Gabriel asked. What about us? Lucia looked away. There is no us, Gabriel. Just Mateo. Then her phone buzzed. The kids' club is ending early. I have to get Mateo. Would you like to come with me? We can tell him together. Gabriel's heart raced. Are you sure? Lucia smiled softly. He already knows. Gabriel nodded and stood up, leaving some money on the table. He walked with Lucia toward the kids' club. His heart was beating fast because he was about to meet someone very special, his son. When they arrived, Mateo was sitting with other kids, wearing a paper pirate hat and holding a small treasure chest full of chocolate coins. When Mateo saw Lucia, he jumped up happily. Mommy, look what I found, he said, showing her his treasure. Then he saw Gabriel and smiled even bigger. You came back. Do you want to see my treasure too? Gabriel knelt down so he was at Mateo's level. I'd love to see your treasure. Mateo opened his little chest and took out a chocolate coin. You can have one. I have lots. Gabriel took the coin, his heart feeling very full. Thank you, he said, his voice shaking a little. Lucia knelt beside them. Mateo, remember how you always ask about your daddy? Mateo nodded, suddenly looking serious. Well, Lucia said gently, this is him. This is your daddy. Mateo's eyes got really big as he stared at Gabriel. Really? You're my real daddy? Gabriel nodded, unable to speak because he felt so many emotions at once. Mateo looked at him closely, then smiled really big. I knew it. I saw your picture in Mommy's special box, and you have eyes like mine. Suddenly, Mateo ran into Gabriel's arms. Gabriel hugged him tightly, feeling like his heart might burst. Tears came to his eyes. He had waited so long for this moment. Mateo whispered in Gabriel's ear, I found a better treasure than chocolate. Gabriel looked at Lucia, who had tears in her eyes too. At that moment, nothing else mattered. not the years they had been apart, not the hurt feelings. All that mattered was that Gabriel had found his son, and now they would figure out how to move forward together. The next morning, Gabriel woke up early in his fancy hotel room on the ship. He still couldn't believe it. He had a son, a bright, happy 5-year-old boy who had never known his father until now. That thought made him feel both happy and sad. After meeting Matteo, they had spent the whole afternoon together. Matteo had excitedly shown Gabriel around the kids' club, talking non-stop about pirates, dinosaurs, and his school back home. Gabriel listened to every word, trying to make up for the 5 years he had missed. Lucia had stayed quiet, watching them with careful eyes. When Matteo started to get sleepy, she said it was time to stop for the day. But they had planned to meet again for breakfast the next morning at the seaside cafe. Gabriel checked his watch. It was only 6:30 a.m., but he was too excited to sleep. He took a shower, dressed in comfy clothes instead of his usual work suit, and headed to the cafe. Today, he wasn't the big boss of a company. Today, he was just Matteo's dad. As he walked, his phone rang. It was his younger brother, James. "Please tell me you're actually relaxing and not working," James joked. "I'm relaxing," Gabriel said. He wasn't ready to tell James about Matteo yet. "Good," James said. "The office is fine and the big business deal is moving forward. But that's not why I called. Catalina called the office looking for you." Gabriel sighed. Catalina was his on and off girlfriend. She was also the daughter of one of his company's biggest investors. Their relationship was more about business than love. "She said she thought you two were serious," James continued, "and she was upset that you didn't tell her about your trip. She even said she might fly to the next stop to meet you." "What?" "No," Gabriel said firmly. "Tell her I need time alone. I'll talk to her when I get back." "Okay, but you know how stubborn she is," James warned. "Anyway, enjoy your trip and stay away from work for a few days." Gabriel ended the call and walked to the cafe, now feeling a little worried. If Catalina really came, things could get complicated. When he arrived, he saw Lucia and Matteo sitting by the window. Matteo was coloring, and Lucia was drinking coffee. The sunlight made her dark hair shine, and for a moment Gabriel remembered how happy they used to be together. Matteo looked up and grinned. "Daddy, you came!" He ran over and hugged Gabriel's legs. The word daddy made Gabriel feel something deep inside his heart. He knelt and hugged Matteo tightly. "Good morning, buddy. Of course I came. I wouldn't miss breakfast with you." Lucia smiled. "He's been awake since 5. He was too excited to sleep. He's already told the waiter and 3 other people that his daddy is having breakfast with us." Gabriel felt so happy. "I couldn't sleep either," he admitted. "What are you coloring?" Matteo pushed his drawing toward Gabriel. "It's our family. That's Mommy, that's me, and that's you." Gabriel stared at the picture, his eyes feeling wet. "It's perfect," he whispered. After ordering breakfast, Gabriel wanted to talk to Lucia about what would happen after the trip. Lucia seemed to feel the same, so she asked Matteo to go play in the kids' area while they waited for their food. Once Matteo was out of earshot, Gabriel leaned forward. "We need to talk about what happens after this cruise." Lucia nodded. "I know, I've been thinking about it too. I want to be in Matteo's life," Gabriel said. "I want that too," Lucia said. "That's why I was going to contact you. But Gabriel, we live in different places. You're in New York, running a big company. Matteo and I live in Seattle. He has school, friends, and a life there." "I can open an office in Seattle," Gabriel said quickly. "Or you and Matteo can move to New York. I'll buy you a house, whatever you need." Lucia's eyes widened. "Slow down, Gabriel. We can't just change Matteo's whole life overnight. And I have a job in Seattle." "I've already lost 5 years," Gabriel said, his voice full of emotion. "I don't want to lose more." "I understand," Lucia said gently. "But we have to think about what's best for Matteo. He just met you. He needs time." Before Gabriel could answer, a voice interrupted. "Gabriel? I thought that was you." Gabriel turned and saw Catalina standing by their table. She was wearing a fancy white dress and sunglasses. Gabriel's stomach dropped. "Catalina," he said, feeling worried. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to surprise you," Catalina said, leaning down to kiss his cheek. Then she looked at Lucia. "Aren't you going to introduce me?" Gabriel stood up. "Catalina, this is Lucia Brooks, an old friend. Lucia, this is Catalina Harrington." Catalina smiled and held out her hand. "Lovely to meet you." Lucia shook her hand and smiled politely. "Likewise." Just then, Mateo ran back. "Mommy, Daddy, they have a giant Connect 4 game over there." Catalina's smile froze. She looked at Mateo, then at Gabriel, noticing how much they looked alike. "Daddy?" she repeated, her voice cold. Gabriel took a deep breath. "Catalina, this is Mateo, Lucia's son. And yours too, apparently," Catalina said, her face turning hard. "How interesting that you never mentioned having a child." Gabriel sighed. "I only found out yesterday." Catalina's expression darkened. "I see. Well, I won't interrupt this family moment. We'll talk later, Gabriel." Then she walked away, looking very upset. Catalina turned and walked away, her back stiff. "I'm sorry about that," Gabriel said to Lucia after Catalina left. Lucia looked at him like she had many questions, but she just said, "We should eat our breakfast before it gets cold." Mateo, not noticing the tension, happily ate his pancakes. He even shared little bites with both Lucia and Gabriel. After breakfast, they decided to explore the ship together. Mateo was excited to show Gabriel all the fun things he had discovered the day before. As they walked, Mateo held both Gabriel's and Lucia's hands, swinging between them. To other people watching, they looked like a happy family enjoying their vacation. But Gabriel couldn't stop worrying about Catalina. He knew her well enough to understand she wouldn't just walk away and forget about everything. "Can we go swimming, Daddy?" Mateo asked, pulling Gabriel from his thoughts. "That sounds like a great idea," Gabriel said with a big smile. "What do you think, Lucia?" "Swimming it is," Lucia agreed. "Let's go change into our swimsuits." They planned to meet at the family pool in 30 minutes. As Gabriel walked back to his room, he saw Catalina sitting at the ship's bar. She waved him over. "We need to talk," she said when he got closer. Gabriel sighed but sat beside her. "Catalina, I'm sorry you found out about Mateo like that. I only just learned about him myself yesterday." Catalina sipped her orange juice. "So you expect me to believe you had no idea you had a son? That this woman just happened to be on the same cruise as you with a child who looks exactly like you?" "That's exactly what happened," Gabriel said firmly. "Lucia and I were together years ago before I met you. She left and I didn't know she was pregnant." "How convenient," Catalina said with a sarcastic smile. "And now that you found them, what's your plan? Are you going to be a happy family with your long-lost love and son?" "I don't have a plan yet," Gabriel admitted. "But Mateo is my son, and I want to be part of his life." "And what about us?" Catalina asked angrily. "I thought we were building something together. My father has been talking about merging our companies. We even talked about marriage." "We talked about a lot of things," Gabriel said carefully, "but I never made any promises." Catalina's eyes narrowed. "So you're throwing away everything we could have had for a woman who kept your child a secret from you? Does that sound like someone you can trust?" "This isn't about Lucia," Gabriel said, his voice firm. "It's about Mateo. He's my son, and nothing is more important than that." "You're making a mistake," Catalina warned. "My father won't be happy about this. It could affect the investment in your company." Gabriel looked at her and suddenly saw her in a new way. "Are you threatening me?" Catalina took another sip of her drink. "I'm just stating facts. My dad is very protective of me. He doesn't like to see me upset." "I'm sorry if I hurt you," Gabriel said, standing up, "but I have to go. My son is waiting for me." As he walked away, Catalina called after him, "This isn't over, Gabriel. Not by a long shot." At the pool, Lucia watched Mateo splash in the shallow end, waiting for Gabriel. She was still trying to process what had happened. Catalina clearly had a close relationship with Gabriel. The way she touched his arm, the way she spoke, it all pointed to something serious. Lucia told herself it shouldn't matter. She had let Gabriel go years ago, but seeing him with another woman made her feel something she didn't expect. "Sorry I'm late," Gabriel said, appearing beside her in swim trunks and a t-shirt. "I got held up." "By Catalina?" Lucia asked before she could stop herself. Gabriel sighed. "Yes, she's upset." "I gathered that," Lucia replied. "She's your girlfriend." "It's complicated," Gabriel said, taking off his shirt. "We've been seeing each other on and off for about a year. Her father is a major investor in my company." "I see," Lucia said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Well, it's none of my business." "Lucia," Gabriel started, but Matteo called out from the pool. "Daddy, watch me swim." Gabriel turned, his face lighting up. "I'm watching, buddy." Matteo paddled across the pool, grinning proudly. "That was awesome," Gabriel cheered. Then he turned back to Lucia. "He's amazing. You've done a great job with him." "Thank you," Lucia said, touched by his words. "He's the best thing that ever happened to me." Gabriel's face grew serious. "I meant what I said. I want to be a real part of his life." "And I meant what I said too," Lucia replied. "We need to take things slow. Matteo just met you. Too many changes could confuse him." "I understand," Gabriel said, still watching Matteo. "But I'm not going to be a part-time father." "No one is asking you to be," Lucia assured him. "We'll figure something out." Gabriel turned to her, his green eyes serious. "What about you, Lucia? Is there someone special in your life? Someone Matteo calls dad?" Lucia shook her head. "No. There have been a few dates, but nothing serious. Matteo has never called anyone dad. Until you." Gabriel smiled. "Good. Daddy, come in the water," Matteo called again. "Duty calls," Gabriel said, diving into the pool. Lucia watched as Gabriel and Matteo played together, laughing and splashing. They looked so natural together, as if they had always known each other. Seeing them made Lucia's heart ache. Had she made a mistake all those years ago? Should she have given Gabriel a chance to choose his family? Later that afternoon, they had lunch. Matteo fell asleep at the table, resting against Gabriel's arm. "He really likes you," Lucia said softly. "The feeling is mutual," Gabriel replied, gently stroking Matteo's hair. "I can't believe how quickly I've fallen in love with him." "That's how it was for me too," Lucia confessed. "The moment I held him, I was completely gone." They sat in silence, watching Matteo sleep. "Lucia," Gabriel finally said, "if I had known about the pregnancy, what do you think would have happened?" Lucia thought carefully. "I don't know. I thought you would see us as an obstacle. Maybe I was wrong." "You were wrong," Gabriel said firmly. "I would have chosen you and Matteo." Before Lucia could respond, a shadow fell over their table. She looked up to see Catalina and an older man. "Gabriel," Catalina said, "this is my father, Javier Harrington." Javier's voice was cold. "Catalina called me upset, so I flew here. I have to consider my daughter's happiness and our business. If you want the merger to happen, you need to fix this problem." Lucia felt a chill. Javier was powerful and not happy. As they walked away, Lucia whispered, "Do you want to talk?" Gabriel nodded. "I just want to be a father. And maybe," he looked at her, "maybe see if there's still something between us." Gabriel took a deep breath and looked at Lucia. "We've both changed, Lucia. But these last 2 days, being with you and Matteo, it feels right. I haven't felt this way in a long time." Lucia felt a little hope inside her heart, but she was also careful. "Gabriel, we can't just go back to how things were before. Too much has happened. Your life is in New York with your company, and there's also Catalina." "I told you, Catalina and I—" "It doesn't matter," Lucia interrupted. "What matters is that you have big choices to make. It's not just about me or even Matteo. Javier Harrington made that very clear." Gabriel sat beside her on the couch. "Lucia, I meant what I said earlier. I've learned from my mistakes. Nothing is more important to me than being part of Matteo's life. And yes, I want to see if we can have a second chance. Business deals come and go, but family is what matters." Lucia wanted to believe him, but she had been hurt before. Now she had Matteo to think about too. I need to know you're sure, Gabriel. Really sure. I can't let Matteo get close to you only for you to leave when things get hard. I'm not going anywhere, Gabriel promised, holding her hand. No matter what Javier Harrington says, no matter what Catalina wants, you and Matteo are my priority now. Lucia looked at their hands. His touch was warm and familiar. We have 5 more days on this cruise, she said. Let's use that time to figure out what comes next for all of us. Gabriel nodded and kissed her hand gently. 5 days to make up for 7 years. It's a start. From the bedroom doorway, a small voice spoke. Mommy, Daddy, are you going to kiss like in the movies? They turned to see Matteo watching them with a hopeful look. Lucia laughed, and the serious moment suddenly felt lighter. Maybe someday, buddy, Gabriel said with a smile. But for now, how about we all watch a movie together? Yes, Matteo cheered, running to sit between them on the couch. As they settled in to watch Matteo's favorite cartoon, Lucia and Gabriel exchanged a look. There were still many questions, many decisions to make, but for now, they were together. And for the first time in a long time, Lucia let herself imagine a happy future. The next 2 days on the cruise passed quickly. Gabriel, Lucia, and Matteo spent their time exploring the ship, swimming, and watching shows. They made wonderful memories together. For Gabriel, every moment was precious. He had missed so much of Matteo's life, and he wanted to make up for lost time. Matteo was happy to have his dad with him. He asked lots of questions about Gabriel's home, his job, and silly things like whether Gabriel liked dinosaurs, he did, or broccoli, he didn't. Every little question meant a lot to Gabriel because it showed that Matteo wanted to know him. Lucia watched them together, feeling both joy and worry. Seeing Matteo so happy made her heart warm. But she couldn't stop wondering, what would happen when the cruise ended? Would Gabriel still choose them when he went back to his busy life in New York? On the 4th morning, Lucia woke up early. She stepped onto the balcony of her cabin to watch the sunrise. The sky was pink and gold, and the ocean stretched out endlessly. A soft knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. She opened it and saw Gabriel standing there, already dressed for the day, holding 2 cups of coffee. "You're up early," she said, letting him in. "Couldn't sleep," Gabriel admitted. "Too much on my mind. Is Matteo awake?" "Still sleeping. He was so tired after all that swimming." Gabriel nodded and handed her a cup. "I got you coffee. Still take it with just a little cream?" Lucia smiled. "Yes, thank you." They stood on the balcony, sipping their coffee in silence. The peaceful moment was broken when Lucia spoke. "I haven't seen Catalina or her father since that day at lunch." "They're avoiding me," Gabriel said. "It's Javier Harrington's way of making me nervous about his deal." Lucia turned to look at him. "And are you nervous?" "No," Gabriel answered firmly. "I've been thinking about what really matters. My company is important. Yes, I built it from nothing. But at what cost? I missed 7 years of birthdays, holidays, weekends, always working. And for what? A bigger office? More money in the bank?" "You've achieved a lot," Lucia said softly. "Don't forget that." "I know," Gabriel said, "but meeting Matteo changed everything. It made me realize what really matters." Lucia's heart beat faster, but she stayed cautious. "What about the big business deal? It's important for your company." "It is," Gabriel said, "but there are other investors, other deals. I won't let Javier Harrington use my personal life as a bargaining chip." Gabriel set down his coffee and faced her. "Last night, I called my legal team. I told them to start looking into opening a Seattle branch of my company. I meant what I said, Lucia. I want to be a real part of Matteo's life, not just a visitor." Lucia's eyes widened. "Gabriel, that's a big decision. Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything," he said. "And it's not just about Matteo. It's about us too. These past few days reminded me of what we had and what we could have again." Lucia felt her heart melting, but she couldn't ignore the past or pretend the present wasn't complicated. "Gabriel, I'm Mommy? Daddy? Mateo's sleepy voice made them turn. He stood in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Gabriel smiled. "Good morning, buddy. Did you sleep well?" Mateo nodded and ran to hug them both. "Are we going to the water slides today like you promised?" "Absolutely," Gabriel said. "Right after breakfast." "Yay," Mateo cheered. "Can I have pancakes with chocolate chips?" Lucia laughed. "I think we can do that. Go brush your teeth and get dressed." As Mateo ran off, Gabriel caught Lucia's gaze. "We'll finish our conversation later." Lucia nodded, her mind spinning. Could they really have a second chance? Later, at the water park, Gabriel and Mateo went down the slides together, laughing the whole time. Lucia watched them, smiling. "They look good together," a voice said beside her. Lucia turned and saw Catalina. She looked perfect, wearing a stylish swimsuit and big sunglasses. Catalina sat next to Lucia. "Gabriel told you about the big business deal, right?" "He mentioned it," Lucia said carefully. "It's worth $100 million. Catalina said, "My father doesn't give chances like this often." "And it comes with strings attached," Lucia said. Catalina nodded. "Everything valuable does. My father sees Gabriel as the son he never had, and Gabriel and I make sense together." "Do you love him?" Lucia asked. Catalina smiled. "Love is for fairy tales. In real life, partnerships are built on compatibility." Lucia frowned. "That sounds very practical." Catalina's voice turned cold. "You had your chance with Gabriel. You left him. Now you're back, expecting everything to just work out. But when this cruise ends, he'll go back to New York. Where does that leave you and Mateo?" Lucia felt a tight feeling in her stomach. Catalina was saying the same things Lucia was scared of. These were the thoughts that kept her awake at night since she met Gabriel again. "That's for Gabriel to decide," Lucia finally said. "Not you." Catalina stood up and put on her sunglasses. "Just think about it, Lucia. What's really best for Mateo? A dad who is stuck between two lives, who might be unhappy about leaving his job? Or is it better to let go now before Mateo gets too close to him?" Then Catalina walked away, leaving Lucia with worries spinning in her head. From the water slides, Gabriel waved at her, excited as Mateo got ready to slide again. Lucia waved back and smiled, but Catalina's words stayed in her mind, growing like tiny seeds of doubt. Later that day, while Mateo took a nap, Lucia and Gabriel sat on the top deck of the ship, watching the ocean waves. "I saw you talking to Catalina this morning," Gabriel said. "What did she want?" Lucia paused, then decided to tell the truth. "She wanted to remind me that I don't belong in your life." Gabriel's face tightened. "I'm sorry. Catalina likes to take control." "She had some good points," Lucia admitted. "About your company, about your life in New York." "Lucia." "Let me finish," Lucia said gently. "Gabriel, I need to know that you've really thought about this. Moving to Seattle, leaving your company, giving up this big business deal. These are big choices that will change your whole future." "I know," Gabriel said. "I'm not making these choices just because of my feelings." Lucia looked at him. "Are you sure? Or are you just excited about meeting Mateo?" Gabriel took her hand. "I'm doing this because I spent 7 years chasing success but felt empty. Because holding my son for the first time showed me what really matters. And yes, because seeing you again made me realize what I've been missing." He moved closer. "Lucia, I never stopped loving you, even after you left. Even when I worked so hard to forget the pain, a part of me always hoped you'd come back." Lucia's breath caught. "Gabriel, I know this won't be easy," he continued. "We were apart for years. We have to rebuild trust, but I want to try, for Mateo, for us, for the family we should have always been." Lucia looked into his green eyes, the same eyes as Mateo's, and felt her fears weakening. "I want to try too," she whispered, "but I'm scared." Gabriel didn't answer with words. He leaned forward and kissed her. It was soft at first, but then it deepened, full of 7 years of longing. Lucia wrapped her arms around his neck, giving into the feelings she had tried to hide. When they pulled away, Gabriel rested his forehead against hers. "We'll figure this out together, Lucia." Lucia nodded. She let herself believe, just for a moment, that they could have a second chance. A slow clap broke the silence. They turned and saw Javier Harrington standing nearby, his face cold. "How touching," he said, his voice full of sarcasm. "The lost love returns and all is forgiven." Gabriel stood up and moved slightly in front of Lucia. "Mr. Harrington, this isn't the time or place." "Oh, I think it's the perfect time," Javier said. "Catalina tells me you're thinking about canceling our business deal to play happy family." "I'm thinking about what's best for everyone," Gabriel said. Javier laughed, but it wasn't friendly. "Everyone except the people at your company, it seems. Like, have you thought about what will happen when people find out you're walking away from $100 million deal for personal reasons? How will your business partners react? How will the stock market react?" "My personal life is not your business, Javier." "It is when it affects business," Javier said. "And this will. If you leave this deal, I will make sure your company suffers." Lucia stood up, feeling protective. "You're threatening him just because he wants to be with his son?" Javier turned his cold gaze to Lucia. "I'm only talking about actions and consequences. You kept Gabriel's son from him for years. Now Gabriel is choosing feelings over logic. Choices, consequences." He looked back at Gabriel. "You have until tomorrow to change your mind. If you don't, the deal is off forever. And trust me, walking away will cost you more than you realize." Then Javier walked away, leaving a heavy silence behind. "Gabriel," Lucia began, "maybe we should." "No," Gabriel said firmly. "Don't let him scare you, Lucia. He's used to getting his way, but I won't let him control my life." "But what if he's right?" Lucia asked. "What if you lose your company? I don't want you to regret this." Gabriel gently held her face. "Listen to me. If keeping my company means losing you and Mateo, then it's not worth keeping. I built my business from nothing once. I can do it again. But I can't get back these years with Mateo. I won't lose more time with either of you." Lucia wanted to believe him, but fear still whispered in her heart. Would he regret giving everything up for them? "Let's go back to Mateo," she said. "He'll wake up soon." As they walked, Lucia's mind raced. She loved Gabriel. She always had, and he was a wonderful father. But was it right to let him risk everything for them? Would their love survive such a big sacrifice? When they reached the room, Mateo was still sleeping peacefully. Lucia turned to Gabriel. "I need time to think. This is all happening so fast." Gabriel nodded, though he looked disappointed. "I understand. We have a dinner reservation at 7. Will you come?" "Yes," Lucia said. "I'll see you then." After he left, Lucia sat beside Mateo, watching him sleep. Her little boy had found his father at last. But was it fair to take that away now? Or was it worse to let Gabriel give up everything, only to regret it later? When Mateo woke up, he asked for his daddy. "We're meeting him for dinner," Lucia told him. "But first, how about the arcade? Just you and me." Mateo agreed happily. They played games and won small prizes. But even as Lucia smiled, her heart was heavy. By the time they returned, she had made her choice. It wasn't what her heart wanted, but she believed it was the right thing for all of them. That night at dinner, Gabriel looked at her, full of hope. But Lucia's heart ached. When they danced, he whispered, "I've never been more sure of anything. I want to be with you and Mateo." Lucia's eyes filled with tears. "Gabriel, I've made a decision. Tomorrow morning, Mateo and I are leaving." Gabriel stopped. "What? Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Lucia whispered. "You have a life in New York. You have a big company. Many people need you. I can't let you throw everything away just because of your feelings. You might regret it later." Lucia shook her head. "No, Gabriel, this is not just about feelings. I have thought about it a lot. I want to be with you and Mateo. I want us to be a family." Gabriel's eyes filled with tears. "I want that too, Lucia, but not like this. Javier Harrington is making threats. Your company is in danger. What if, one day, you look at me and Mateo and feel like we made you lose everything?" "That will never happen," Gabriel said, wiping Lucia's tears with his thumb. You don't know that, Lucia said. Gabriel, your company is a big part of your life. I can't take that away from you. Gabriel looked upset. So you're making this decision for me? Just like when you didn't tell me about Matteo for 7 years? When do I get to decide for myself, Lucia? Lucia felt hurt but stayed firm. This is different. I am not disappearing. You know about Matteo now, and nothing will change that. You can see him, visit him, and be part of his life, but we have to be smart about this. Smart? Gabriel asked, his voice getting louder. How is leaving the people you love smart? Lucia sighed. Sometimes, loving someone means doing what's best for them, even if it hurts. Before Gabriel could answer, Matteo called from the table. Mommy, Daddy, are you done dancing? Can we have dessert now? Lucia and Gabriel went back to the table, smiling for Matteo even though their hearts were heavy. The rest of dinner was full of chocolate cake and quiet talking. Matteo held onto Gabriel tightly, as if he was afraid his new daddy might disappear. After dinner, Gabriel walked them back to their room. At the door, Matteo hugged Gabriel. Will you read me a bedtime story, Daddy? He asked, his eyes hopeful. Gabriel looked at Lucia. She nodded. She didn't want to take this moment away from Matteo. Gabriel read Matteo's favorite story twice. He sat by Matteo's bed until he fell asleep. Lucia watched from the doorway, her heart aching. When Gabriel finally came out, his eyes were red. You can't do this, Lucia, he said softly. You can't take Matteo away from me, not after I just found him. I'm not taking him away, Lucia said. You can visit him, call him anytime. He will always know his daddy. That's not the same, Gabriel said. Why are you really doing this? Is it because of Javier, or is there something else? Lucia sat down. It's everything, Gabriel. The business, Catalina, us not knowing each other like before. I don't want us to rush into something we aren't ready for. Gabriel sat beside her and took her hands. Lucia, listen. These last few days weren't about rushing. They were about finding what we lost. We have changed, but deep inside we are still the same. I still love you. I always have. Lucia felt her heart break. I love you too, she whispered. That's why this is so hard, but I can't be the reason you lose everything. Gabriel pulled his hands away. You don't trust me, he realized. You don't believe I can put you and Matteo first. It's not about trust, Lucia said. It's about being realistic. No, it's about fear, Gabriel said. You're scared to believe this could work. You're running away again, just like before. Lucia stood up. I think you should go. We have an early flight tomorrow. Gabriel stood, looking at her one last time as if memorizing her face. Then he walked away, leaving Lucia alone. She sank to the floor, crying. Had she made the right choice, or had she just made a huge mistake again? Matteo slept peacefully in the next room, not knowing his world was about to change again. Somewhere on the ship, Gabriel sat alone, wondering if he should let Lucia go or fight for his family. The big ship kept sailing through the night, carrying them toward a future they could not see. Lucia woke up before sunrise. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She listened to Matteo's soft breathing. Today they would leave the ship, fly back home, and go back to their normal life without Gabriel. She got up quietly and started packing. Her hands trembled as she folded Matteo's clothes. How would she tell her son they were leaving his daddy behind? A soft knock on the door startled her. It was early. Who could it be? She opened the door and saw Sophia, Gabriel's assistant. I'm sorry for coming so early, Sophia said seriously, but Gabriel asked me to give you this. She handed Lucia an envelope. Thank you, Lucia said, taking it hesitantly. How did you find me? Sophia smiled. I'm Gabriel's assistant. It's my job to know things. He also wanted me to tell you that he respects your decision, but he hopes you read this before you leave. Then Sophia walked away, leaving Lucia staring at the envelope. She closed the door, sat down, and traced her name written in Gabriel's handwriting. Taking a deep breath, she opened the letter. Dear Lucia, if you are reading this, it means you are still planning to leave. I stayed up all night trying to find the right words to change your mind. But maybe what you need is not words, but proof. 7 years ago, you left because you heard me say that my relationship with you was a distraction from my business, but you didn't stay to hear the rest. I was about to propose to you that weekend. I had the ring in my pocket when you disappeared. After you left, I worked hard, not because work was more important than you, but because it was all I had left. Now I have found you again, and I have a son. Nothing, no business, no money, no threats, could ever be more important than that. To prove it, I have already made changes. I have started setting up a Seattle office so I can be close to you and Mateo. I told the board I am ready to step down as CEO if necessary. I have withdrawn from the business merger with Harrington. These decisions were made before you told me you were leaving. I am not reacting to you. I am showing my true priorities. I won't force you to stay, but I am asking, begging you to give us 2 more days. Let's talk, make a plan, and see if we can make this work. If you still want to leave after that, I will respect your decision. But know this, I will always be a part of Mateo's life, and I will never stop hoping you will give us a real chance. I love you. I always have. Lucia's hands shook. Tears dripped onto the paper. Gabriel had already made his choices before she decided to leave. He really was putting them first. Mommy, why are you crying? Mateo's sleepy voice came from the bedroom doorway. Lucia quickly wiped her tears. I'm just a little sad, sweetheart. Mateo climbed into her lap. Don't be sad, Mommy. Is it because we're going home today? I don't want to go. I want to stay with Daddy. Lucia's heart clenched. How did you know we were leaving? I heard you talking to Daddy last night, Mateo admitted. You said we have an early flight, but I don't want to go, Mommy. Please, can we stay? Lucia hugged him close. Her mind raced. Had she been wrong? Had she made the same mistake again? Let me think about it, okay? She said. Can we have breakfast with Daddy while you think? Mateo asked. Lucia smiled. Yes, we can have breakfast with Daddy. Lucia helped Mateo get dressed, then sent a message to Gabriel. We are not leaving yet. Can we meet for breakfast at the usual place at 8? Gabriel replied right away, I'll be there. Gabriel arrived at the Seaside Cafe 20 minutes early. His heart was beating fast. He didn't know if Lucia wanted to stay or just say goodbye. After their argument last night, he had stayed up late, feeling angry and sad. But at 3 a.m., he understood what he had to do. If he wanted to show Lucia and Mateo that they were the most important to him, he had to prove it with actions, not just words. He made calls, waking up his lawyers and board members on the East Coast to make big changes. By morning, everything in the letter he had written to Lucia was official. Even if she decided to leave, he would not take back the choices he had made. Mr. Rios? Gabriel looked up and saw Javier Harrington walking toward his table. Javier looked perfect, even this early in the morning. Javier, Gabriel said calmly. I believe my assistant gave you my message, Gabriel continued. The merger is off. Javier sat down without asking. So, I heard. A reckless decision made in the heat of emotion. No, Gabriel said. It was a carefully thought out decision. Family comes first, Javier. You would understand if you hadn't spent your daughter Catalina's whole life teaching her that business is more important than people. Javier's face hardened. You are making a mistake, Rios. A mistake that will cost you a lot. The only mistake would be letting Lucia and Mateo go again, Gabriel said firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am expecting them for breakfast. Javier stood up, adjusting his jacket. This isn't over. When you return to New York, you will see the business world has changed. I have influence, and now you have made an enemy. I'll take my chances, Gabriel said without fear. Javier turned to leave, but he stopped when he saw Lucia arriving with Mateo. He gave her a cold look, then walked away without another word. Mateo ran up to Gabriel. Daddy! We didn't leave. Mommy said we can stay. Gabriel picked up his big hug. He looked at Lucia over Mateo's head, his eyes asking her, Is this just for now, or have you changed your mind? Why don't you go look at the breakfast buffet, Matteo? Lucia said. Then you can tell us what looks good. Once Matteo was out of earshot, Lucia sat down across from Gabriel. I got your letter. And? Gabriel asked when she didn't say more. You already did it? She asked. You canceled the merger? You set up the Seattle office? Gabriel nodded. The paperwork is almost done. Why? Lucia whispered. Why would you give up so much? Because some things are worth everything, Gabriel said simply. I meant every word in that letter, Lucia. This isn't a choice I made lightly. It's the right choice for me, for us, if you'll give us a chance. Lucia's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared, Gabriel. I'm scared this is happening too fast, that we're making choices based on feelings, not reality. I'm scared that someday you'll regret giving up your business for us. Gabriel reached for her hands. I understand, Lucia, but think about what we'd lose if we don't try. Matteo deserves to have both his parents in his life, and we deserve a chance to see if our love can grow even stronger. What about Javier's threats? Lucia asked. He looked furious just now. Javier Harrington is used to getting his way, Gabriel said. He'll be angry for a while, but he'll find something else to focus on. My company is strong enough to survive. And Catalina? Lucia asked. Catalina and I were never right for each other, Gabriel said. She knew it too. Our relationship was about business, not love. She will find someone else to fulfill her father's plans. Lucia was quiet, thinking. Finally, she asked, So what happens now? That's up to you, Gabriel said. I'm moving to Seattle no matter what. I will be in Matteo's life, whether as just his father or as your partner too. But what I really hope is that you'll give us a chance to be a real family. Matteo came running back to the table. Daddy, they have pancakes and waffles. The conversation paused as they got food. Matteo insisted on holding both their hands. As they ate, Lucia watched Gabriel with their son. The way he cut Matteo's pancakes, how patient he was with Matteo's questions, the love in his eyes, it was a side of Gabriel she had never seen before. By the time they finished eating, Lucia had made up her mind. I'd like to stay, she said quietly, for the rest of the cruise, and when we get back, I want to try. Really try. I can't promise it will be easy, but I want to give us a chance, for Matteo and for us. Gabriel smiled like the sun coming out from behind the clouds. That's all I'm asking for, Lucia. A chance. He leaned across the table and kissed her, a gentle kiss filled with promise. Are you going to marry my daddy now, Mommy? Matteo asked with wide eyes and a big grin. Gabriel and Lucia laughed. One step at a time, buddy, Gabriel said, ruffling Matteo's hair. But we're heading in the right direction. The last 2 days of the cruise went by quickly. They spent time together as a family, talking and reconnecting. On the final night, they attended a fancy dinner. Matteo wore a little tuxedo, proud to match his daddy. As they walked along the deck that night, Gabriel said, I got a call today. The Seattle office is ready. It's not far from your neighborhood. That was fast, Lucia said. Are you sure the board is okay with it? They aren't thrilled, Gabriel admitted, but they respect my decision. Javier tried to hurt the company, but it's already recovering. And us? Lucia asked softly. Will we be okay? Gabriel stopped and faced her. I believe we will. It won't be easy, but I know what I want now. I want you and Matteo. I want family dinners, school plays, and every moment I missed. I want that too, Lucia whispered. I've always wanted that. Gabriel pulled her into a kiss under the stars. Mommy and Daddy are kissing again. Matteo giggled. They laughed and pulled him into a big family hug. I love you, Mommy. I love you, Daddy, Matteo said. We love you too, buddy, Gabriel replied, his voice full of love. And they knew. They were finally home. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.